When we share our faith, it doesn't just go forward, sometimes it comes back around. Who has encouraged you in your walk with the Lord? Who has influenced your faith? How are you encouraging that person or others in return? Hi, I'm Sherri, and today we're going to talk about this mutual encouragement cycle as we look at the story of Ruth. For a little background, we learn in the book of Ruth about a woman named Naomi who was married to Elimelech. They had 2 sons. Naomi's husband died, leaving her a widow and single mother. Her sons grew up and married. Their wives' names were Orpah and Ruth. The Bible tells us about 10 years later, both of Naomi's sons died. Naomi has now lost her husband and both sons, left only with her 2 daughters-in-law. I can't imagine the grief she must have been experiencing after having lost her entire core family. But let's think about this for a minute. Both Orpah and Ruth are also widows now. Who else in their lives other than Naomi knows firsthand what that grief is like and how they must be feeling? Naomi decided to leave and head back to her home country, but Orpah and Ruth planned to go with her. This was not what Naomi wanted. Even though she was thankful for the kindness they'd shown her, she told them they needed to go back to their own homes. Despite their talking and crying, Naomi insisted. In the end, Orpah kissed Naomi goodbye, but Ruth clung to Naomi. Naomi again tried to convince Ruth to do as Orpah did and to leave. Listen to Ruth's response. But Ruth said, "Do not urge me to leave you or to return from following you. For where you go, I will go, and where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God my God. Where you die, I will die, and there will I be buried. May the Lord do so to me, and more also, if anything but death parts me from you." What a beautiful testimony. Ruth's commitment to Naomi and to God was clear, and Naomi said no more. Can you imagine what an encouragement Ruth's words must have been to Naomi? She had lost everyone but Ruth, who clung to her. At the time in Naomi's life when she had no one, probably feeling alone and scared, the words and presence of Ruth were life-giving. In the same way, Naomi's experience as a widow allowed her to walk alongside Ruth as she dealt with the loss of her own husband. They were both investing in and encouraging one another, and together they went back to Naomi's home country. Now back home, Naomi struggled with bitterness towards God at the loss of her husband and sons. She had a relative by marriage named Boaz who owned a field. Ruth went out to work in the fields and eventually made it to Boaz's field. Boaz saw her and asked who she was. After he learned she was Naomi's daughter-in-law, he treated her as his own, providing protection and plenty of food. When she returned to Naomi after a day's work, Naomi asked her whose field she worked in, and Ruth told her it was Boaz's field. That is when Naomi revealed that Boaz was a relative of Elimelech. This news also reminded Naomi that the Lord had not forsaken her or Ruth at all. Because of the way the Lord provided through Ruth's work and Boaz's kindness, Naomi went from bitter to thankful. As their relationship continued to grow, Naomi shared her faith with Ruth, teaching her the customs of Israel, which ultimately resulted in her marrying Boaz. Together, Ruth and Boaz had a son named Obed, who was the father of Jesse, who was the father of David, and Jesus is a descendant of David. Ruth went from a widow to part of the lineage of Christ. Wow. When I think of the relationship between Naomi and Ruth, how it started and what they walked through together, I see the hand of God in it all. Ruth's deep commitment to Naomi changed her life. In addition, Naomi's investment in Ruth drew her close to God, led her to Boaz, and secured her future. Neither of them had a grand sermon to preach or a theological discussion prepared. They simply showed the love of God and commitment to one another in the places they most needed it. Reading this story reminds me of the people God has placed in my life at different seasons who have encouraged me, challenged me, shared their faith with me, and helped me grow in my faith. That influence in my own life has instilled in me a passion to share the goodness of God with others and to encourage those who have walked alongside me. So let me ask you this. What excites you about your own faith? How has God used people in your life to either lead you to Christ or help you grow closer to Him? I challenge you to do the same for others. Like Ruth and Naomi, you don't need a grand sermon or a degree in theology. Simply share with others your testimony. Tell them about the love and faithfulness of God you've experienced as you live out your faith and invest in others. Mentoring someone in the faith not only helps them in the present, but has impacts on future generations.